Hollywood's brightest black stars have dazzled the world, but behind the glamour lies a harsh truth. From being banned from their own premieres to receiving death threats for breaking barriers, these legends endured unimaginable racism while changing the industry forever. By the end, you'll discover how one star's fight for equality came at a heartbreaking cost, but left a legacy no one can ignore. Let's start with number 20, Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier was born in the Bahamas in 1927. As a young boy, his family was poor, and he grew up helping his parents farm. When he moved to America as a teenager, he dreamed of acting but found himself in a world full of challenges. Poitier had a thick Caribbean accent and no formal training. During his first auditions, casting directors mocked him for how he spoke. He was told he wasn't American enough, and worse, that Hollywood didn't need black actors. Determined to succeed, Poitier worked tirelessly to improve his accent, even practicing by mimicking radio announcers. His big break came in 1950 with the film No Way Out, where he played a young doctor. This was just the beginning of his rise to fame. In 1963, Poitier became the first black actor to win an Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in Lilies of the Field. He portrayed a handyman who helps nuns build a chapel, a role that showed his incredible talent and humanity. But even with this historic achievement, racism didn't stop. Critics accused him of playing two perfect black characters, always noble, never flawed, to make white audiences feel comfortable. Despite this, Poitier never gave up. He used his fame to push for change. He refused to take roles that insulted black people and demanded dignity in every character he played. His trailblazing career opened doors for generations of black actors, but it came with sacrifices. He often felt alone, carrying the weight of being a role model in a racist industry. Poitier shattered stereotypes and proved that talent and perseverance could break barriers. Today, he is celebrated not only as a legendary actor, but also as a hero who changed Hollywood forever. Number 19, Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson was born in 1924 in Harlem, New York, to parents who were immigrants from the Caribbean. Her father worked as a carpenter, and her mother was a domestic worker. Tyson grew up poor, but she always had big dreams. As a child, she loved performing and later became a model before stepping into acting. But Cicely Tyson wasn't just any actress. She had a mission. She was determined to change how black women were seen in Hollywood. Tyson refused to take roles that showed black women as maids, prostitutes, or characters without depth. She believed those roles demeaned her people. This decision didn't come without consequences. Hollywood producers and directors often overlooked her for parts because they wanted someone who would play by their rules. But Tyson was unyielding. She wanted to show the beauty, strength, and dignity of black women. Her persistence paid off with two major roles that changed her career and made history. In Sounder, 1972, Tyson played a sharecropper's wife, a role that showcased her grace and strength. Her performance earned her an Oscar nomination. Then, in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, 1974, Tyson portrayed a woman who lived through slavery and the civil rights movement. She played the role with such authenticity and power that it won her 2 Emmy Awards. Despite the racism she faced in Hollywood, Tyson didn't let it define her. She became a symbol of pride for the black community and an inspiration to future generations of actors. Cicely Tyson didn't just act. She used her talent to tell stories that uplifted and honored her people. Her legacy is one of courage, talent, and unwavering commitment to dignity. Number 18, Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte, born in 1927 in Harlem to Jamaican parents, became one of the most famous entertainers of his time. Known as the King of Calypso, his music and acting made him a household name in the 1950s and 1960s. But his journey was anything but easy. As a black man in Hollywood, Belafonte faced constant racism. He wasn't just an entertainer, he was a fighter for equality. In Hollywood, Belafonte often clashed with studios. Directors were hesitant to cast him in interracial roles, fearing backlash from white audiences. For instance, in Island in the Sun, 1957, his on-screen romance with a white woman caused controversy. Some theaters even refused to show the film, but Belafonte refused to accept these limitations. He rejected roles that portrayed black characters as weak or subservient. Instead, he insisted on roles that highlighted dignity and strength. His boldness made him a trailblazer, but also cost him opportunities in a deeply prejudiced industry. Belafonte's influence went far beyond entertainment. He was a key figure in the civil rights movement, working closely with leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Belafonte used his fame and wealth to support the cause, funding civil rights initiatives and organizing protests. His commitment to social justice was unwavering. He believed art should be a tool for change, not just entertainment. Through his work, Belafonte broke barriers in both Hollywood and society. He showed the world that Black artists could be powerful voices for change. Even as he faced racism, he never stopped fighting for justice. Today, Harry Belafonte is remembered not just for his music and films, but for his courage and activism that helped reshape Hollywood and the world. Number 17. Diahann Carroll. Diahann Carroll was born in 1935 in the Bronx, New York. From an early age, she dreamed of performing and studied music and acting. Her talent and determination led her to Broadway and later to Hollywood, where she broke new ground for Black women. In 1968, Carroll made history by becoming the first Black woman to star in a non-servant role on American television. Her groundbreaking show, Julia, featured her as a nurse and single mother, showcasing a professional Black woman in a way that had never been seen before. However, Carroll's success did not come without challenges. Many white audiences were uncomfortable with the idea of a confident, professional Black woman in a leading role. They criticized the show for being too bold or unrealistic. At the same time, some members of the Black community felt Julia didn't address racial issues enough. They accused Carroll's character of not being Black enough and of trying too hard to appeal to white audiences. Despite the criticism, Carroll stood her ground. She believed her role on Julia was important for changing how Black women were seen on television. Throughout her career, she continued to break barriers, earning an Oscar nomination for her role in Claudine and becoming an icon for future generations. Diahann Carroll didn't just open doors, she walked through them with grace and strength, proving that representation matters. Her legacy remains a beacon of progress in the fight for equality in Hollywood. Number 16. James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones, born in 1931 in Mississippi, had a challenging childhood. He moved to Michigan with his grandparents and struggled with a severe speech impediment that made him mute for years. The young boy, full of dreams but lacking confidence, lived in silence. It wasn't until a teacher encouraged him to recite poetry that he found his voice, literally. That moment began his journey to becoming one of the most iconic voices in history. Even with his immense talent, Jones faced significant struggles in Hollywood. Casting directors frequently dismissed him because of his race, claiming his deep, commanding voice didn't match the Black characters they envisioned. This racism tried to limit his potential, forcing him to fight for roles that reflected his dignity and skill. Despite these challenges, Jones pushed forward, refusing to let prejudice define his career. His perseverance paid off in unforgettable ways. Jones became known for his powerful roles on stage and screen, but it was his voice that made him a legend. He gave life to Darth Vader in Star Wars, a character whose commanding presence captivated audiences worldwide. Later, as Mufasa in The Lion King, his voice became a symbol of wisdom and strength. James Earl Jones didn't just break barriers, he shattered stereotypes. By embracing his unique gifts, he proved that talent and determination could overcome racism. Today, his voice represents not just power, but the triumph of perseverance in the face of prejudice. Number 15. Hattie McDaniel. Hattie McDaniel was born in 1893 in Wichita, Kansas, as the daughter of formerly enslaved parents. From a young age, she loved performing and started her career as a singer before transitioning to acting. In 1939, she made history by becoming the first Black actor to win an Academy Award for her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind. Her performance was praised for its depth and heart, but her victory came with painful challenges. Despite her Oscar win, McDaniel faced cruel irony. At the film's Atlanta premiere, she was banned from attending because the venue did not allow Black people. Even on the night of the Academy Awards, she was seated at a segregated table at the back of the room. While her award was a monumental achievement, it highlighted the racism deeply rooted in Hollywood and society. McDaniel also faced criticism from the Black community. Many felt her roles as maids and other subservient characters reinforced negative stereotypes. However, McDaniel defended her work, pointing out that she used her opportunities to open doors for other Black performers. She famously said, "I'd rather play a maid than be one." Hattie McDaniel's legacy is one of complexity and courage. She was a trailblazer who broke barriers but faced rejection from all sides. Her determination and talent paved the way for future generations of Black actors. Despite the challenges, she remains a symbol of perseverance and the ongoing fight for equality in Hollywood. Number 14. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was born in 1922 in Cleveland, Ohio. From a young age, her mother nurtured her talent, and Dorothy began performing with her sister as part of a singing duo. Her beauty, grace, and charisma quickly set her apart, and she transitioned into acting. Dandridge made history in the 1950s as the first Black woman to become a glamorous leading lady in Hollywood. Her role in Carmen Jones, 1954, where she played the fiery title character, earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, the first Black woman to achieve this honor. Despite her success, racism in Hollywood constantly limited her opportunities. Producers often cast her in roles that played into exotic stereotypes, portraying her as a sultry temptress rather than a well-rounded character. When she sought mainstream parts, she was rejected outright. Hollywood's racism wasn't confined to the screen. It extended to her personal life. For example, Dandridge was once barred from swimming in a pool at a hotel because of her race. Even after the management allowed her to stay at the hotel, they drained the pool after she put her feet in the water. The strain of battling racism and limited opportunities took a toll on her personal life and career. Financial troubles and failed relationships added to her struggles. In 1965, Dandridge died tragically at just 42 years old. Dorothy Dandridge's story is both heartbreaking and inspiring. She broke barriers and paved the way for Black actresses in Hollywood, but her life also revealed the deep-seated racism of the industry. Today, she is remembered not only for her talent and beauty, but also for her courage in the face of adversity. Her legacy continues to inspire generations of performers. Number 13. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., born in 1925 in Harlem, New York, began performing at just 3 years old with his father and uncle in their vaudeville act. By the time he was an adult, his immense talent in singing, dancing, and acting made him a star. As a member of the legendary Rat Pack, alongside Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Davis became one of the most famous entertainers in the world. But even as part of Hollywood's elite, he couldn't escape the sting of racism. During his career, Davis frequently performed in high-end Las Vegas casinos. However, despite headlining shows, he was often denied basic rights. Many of the hotels where he performed didn't allow Black guests, including him, to stay on the property. He had to enter venues through back doors and couldn't use the same facilities as white entertainers. When he pushed back against these injustices, he faced backlash from both industry insiders and audiences. Davis also faced criticism for his personal life. His romantic relationships with white women, including actress Kim Novak, sparked outrage in a deeply segregated America. He received threats from racist groups, and studios pressured him to keep his relationships private. Despite this, Davis refused to let others dictate his life. Through all the obstacles, Davis maintained an unbreakable spirit. His extraordinary talent and charisma allowed him to bridge racial divides and challenge stereotypes, but it came at a personal cost. He often spoke about the loneliness of being a trailblazer in a world that didn't fully accept him. Sammy Davis Jr. didn't just entertain, he shattered barriers with his courage and brilliance. His legacy is a testament to resilience, showing how talent and determination can overcome even the harshest prejudices. Number 12. Lena Horne. Lena Horne was born in 1917 in Brooklyn, New York, into a family with a strong sense of pride and ambition. Her stunning beauty and immense talent made her a star in both music and film. Horne became Hollywood's first Black glamour girl in the 1940s, captivating audiences with her performances in movies like Stormy Weather and Cabin in the Sky. But behind the scenes, she was fighting a battle against racism in an industry that wanted to reduce her to demeaning roles. Horne refused to play maids, slaves, or other stereotypical parts. setting herself apart as a symbol of strength and dignity. Her fight against racism wasn't limited to Hollywood sets. Horne was a vocal civil rights activist, using her platform to speak out against segregation and injustice. However, her activism made her a target during the McCarthy era. She was blacklisted for her political beliefs and association with progressive causes, losing opportunities in Hollywood for years. Despite these challenges, Horne never compromised her dignity. She continued to perform as a singer, using her music to express her frustration with racism and her hope for a better future. She also worked tirelessly to push for better representation for Black actors in Hollywood. Lena Horne's legacy is one of resilience and courage. She broke barriers with grace and determination, paving the way for future generations of Black performers while never letting racism diminish her pride or purpose. Number 10. Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt was born in 1927 in South Carolina, the daughter of a Black mother and a white father she never knew. Her childhood was marked by poverty and hardship, but her determination and talent propelled her to success. Kitt's sultry voice and captivating stage presence made her a star in music and film, and she became a household name in the 1960s when she played Catwoman in the TV series Batman. Her portrayal was iconic, exuding confidence and charm, which earned her legions of fans and the title of a true Hollywood feline icon. However, Kitt's career faced significant setbacks because of her outspoken nature. In 1968, during a White House luncheon hosted by Lady Bird Johnson, Kitt criticized the Vietnam War, stating how it disproportionately affected young Black men. Her bold remarks were met with immediate backlash. The government labeled her a troublemaker, and she was effectively blacklisted from Hollywood and major performances in the United States for years. Despite being ostracized, Kitt refused to back down. She turned to international audiences and continued her career abroad, proving that her talent and resilience could not be silenced. Her boldness inspired others to defy societal norms and speak out against injustice. Eartha Kitt's legacy is one of courage and authenticity. She used her platform to fight for change, and her unyielding spirit showed the world that staying true to one's beliefs is more powerful than fame. Her story remains a beacon of strength and inspiration. Number 9. Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis were not just a married couple, but a powerful team that reshaped Hollywood and fought for civil rights. Ruby Dee, born in 1922 in Cleveland, Ohio, and Ossie Davis, born in 1917 in Cogdell, Georgia, met while working in theater. They married in 1948 and shared a passion for acting and activism. Together, they became trailblazers for Black representation in entertainment, refusing roles that demeaned their race and advocating for stories that reflected the dignity and complexity of Black lives. In Hollywood, they faced numerous cultural barriers. Studios often limited Black actors to stereotypical roles, but Dee and Davis refused to conform. Instead, they sought roles that portrayed strength, intelligence, and humanity. Ruby Dee shone in films like A Raisin in the Sun and Do the Right Thing, while Ossie Davis was celebrated for his roles in The Cardinal and Malcolm X. Beyond acting, the couple wrote and directed plays and films, creating their own space to tell meaningful stories. Their activism extended far beyond the screen. Davis famously delivered the eulogy at Malcolm X's funeral, while Dee worked closely with figures like Martin Luther King Jr. Together, they marched, spoke out, and used their platform to fight for civil rights. Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis left an indelible mark on both Hollywood and society. Their partnership showcased the power of unity and purpose, inspiring generations to use art as a tool for change. Their legacy continues to remind us of the importance of representation, activism, and love in the fight for equality. Number 8. Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was born in 1898 in Princeton, New Jersey, to a former enslaved father who became a minister and a mother who was a schoolteacher. Robeson excelled in everything he pursued, becoming a true Renaissance man. He graduated as valedictorian from Rutgers University, where he was also a star athlete. He later earned a law degree from Columbia University, but his passion for performance led him to acting and singing. Robeson's deep, resonant voice and commanding presence made him a standout in films like The Emperor Jones and Showboat. His rendition of Old Man River remains iconic. However, Robeson's success in Hollywood was overshadowed by the racism he faced. As one of the few black stars of his time, he refused to play demeaning roles, insisting on characters that portrayed dignity and humanity. His activism grew alongside his fame, as he used his platform to speak out against racism, colonialism, and injustice. He traveled the world, performing and advocating for human rights. During the McCarthy era, Robeson's outspoken political beliefs, particularly his criticism of American racism and support for the Soviet Union, made him a target. He was blacklisted in Hollywood, his passport was revoked, and his career was effectively silenced in the United States. Many of his peers distanced themselves from him, and he spent years in obscurity. Despite these hardships, Robeson remained an unyielding advocate for justice. His contributions to art, civil rights, and global activism left a towering legacy. Robeson showed that art and politics could be intertwined and used as powerful tools for change. Today, his life stands as a testament to the cost of speaking truth to power and the enduring impact of courage and conviction. Number 7. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor, born in 1940 in Peoria, Illinois, grew up in a challenging environment that shaped his raw, unfiltered comedy. He began performing stand-up in the 1960s, quickly gaining attention for his sharp wit and fearless approach to sensitive topics. Pryor used his comedy to confront racism, inequality, and his own struggles, turning pain into laughter. His routines weren't just jokes, they were bold commentaries on the realities of being black in America. In his early career, Pryor faced significant pressure to conform. Hollywood and mainstream audiences expected him to tone down his material, stripping away the edge that made him unique. Early on, he performed sanitized routines that appealed to white audiences but didn't reflect his true voice. However, Pryor eventually broke free from these constraints, choosing to embrace his authentic self, even if it meant taking risks. Once unleashed, Pryor revolutionized comedy. His groundbreaking specials like Live in Concert and Richard Pryor, Live on the Sunset Strip, tackled racism, police brutality, and the absurdities of race relations in ways no one had done before. His honesty and brilliance resonated with audiences of all backgrounds, making him a trailblazer in comedy and entertainment. Pryor's work transcended stand-up, influencing films and television, where he broke barriers by addressing racial issues head-on. Despite facing racism in Hollywood, he used his talent to challenge stereotypes and create lasting change. Today, Richard Pryor is celebrated as one of the greatest comedians of all time and a fearless voice for truth. Number 6. Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong, born in 1901 in New Orleans, Louisiana, is one of the greatest jazz musicians in history. Known for his groundbreaking trumpet playing and warm, gravelly voice, Armstrong revolutionized music and became a global icon. Despite his immense talent and success, he faced intense prejudice throughout his career. As a black man in America, even at the height of his fame, Armstrong was subjected to segregation, discrimination, and limited opportunities. In Hollywood, Armstrong's contributions were undervalued. While his music transcended boundaries, his film roles were often confined to stereotypes. He was cast in movies like High Society and A Song is Born, where he was portrayed as a cheerful entertainer without depth or substance. These roles failed to reflect his genius or the respect he deserved as a pioneering artist. Yet, Armstrong approached his work with professionalism and charm, using every opportunity to share his music with the world. Beyond entertainment, Armstrong became a cultural ambassador. Touring internationally, he brought jazz to audiences in Europe, Africa, and Asia, bridging cultures through his music. Despite systemic racism, Armstrong never stopped advocating for equality. His criticism of the US government during the Little Rock crisis showed his willingness to use his platform for change. Louis Armstrong's legacy is immense. He broke barriers in music and culture, proving that art has the power to unite people. His resilience, talent, and spirit continue to inspire generations around the world. Number 5. Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, born in 1933 in Chicago, Illinois, rose from a challenging childhood to become one of Hollywood's most influential figures. A gifted musician, he started as a trumpet player and worked his way up to become a groundbreaking composer and producer. Unlike many artists in the spotlight, Jones excelled behind the scenes, creating iconic music for films, television, and albums that shaped the entertainment industry. Despite his immense talent, Jones faced significant racial challenges throughout his career. In the mid-20th century, Hollywood and the music industry were controlled by white gatekeepers who were reluctant to give black artists the recognition and opportunities they deserved. Jones had to fight for respect in an environment where his work was often undervalued. Even when he became the first black person to score a major motion picture with The Pawnbroker, 1964, he faced resistance from those who doubted his abilities because of his race. However, Jones's talent and determination made him a game changer. He went on to produce some of the most successful music in history, including Michael Jackson's Thriller, the best-selling album of all time. His influence extended beyond music, as he mentored young artists and advocated for diversity in the entertainment industry. Quincy Jones's success not only broke barriers but also opened doors for future generations of black artists and producers. His legacy as a pioneer and visionary continues to inspire and shape the world of entertainment. Number 4. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, born in 1915 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, grew up in poverty but found solace in music. She became one of the most iconic jazz singers of all time, known for her soulful voice and emotional depth. But Billie wasn't just a performer. She was a powerful voice of resistance. In 1939, she recorded Strange Fruit, a haunting song that condemned the lynching of black Americans. Its vivid and chilling imagery shocked listeners, making it one of the earliest examples of music being used as a tool for social change. Singing Strange Fruit was an act of defiance, as many venues and radio stations refused to play it, fearing backlash from white audiences. Holiday's activism and willingness to confront racism made her a target of persecution. Authorities, angered by her influence, harassed her relentlessly. They used her struggles with drug addiction as an excuse to arrest and imprison her, effectively trying to silence her voice. Her cabaret license was revoked, preventing her from performing in clubs, which devastated her career. Despite these attacks, Holiday refused to back down. She continued to sing Strange Fruit even when it put her safety at risk. Holiday's courage left a lasting legacy. Her music wasn't just entertainment, it was a weapon against injustice. She inspired future generations of artists to use their platforms for change. Though she died in 1959 at just 44 years old, Billie Holiday's voice continues to echo as a symbol of strength, resistance, and the unyielding fight for equality. She proved that art could challenge oppression and create lasting change in the world. Number 3. Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia Jackson, born in 1911 in New Orleans, Louisiana, grew up singing in church, where her powerful voice first captured attention. She became one of the greatest gospel singers of all time, known for her soulful delivery and unwavering faith. While her music brought comfort and hope to millions, Jackson used her voice for more than just singing. She became a key figure in the civil rights movement. Her songs, like Take My Hand, Precious Lord, became anthems of the struggle for equality, inspiring activists and bringing strength to those fighting for justice. She even performed at the 1963 March on Washington, just before Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. Despite her global fame, Hollywood largely ignored Jackson's talent. The film industry, dominated by racist practices, overlooked her for movie roles and opportunities to showcase her extraordinary voice. Her refusal to sing anything other than gospel also limited her appeal in a commercial market that often pressured black artists to conform. Jackson, however, remained steadfast in her faith and commitment to her roots. Her influence extended far beyond gospel music. She inspired countless artists, including Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston, who saw her as a beacon of hope and authenticity. Mahalia Jackson's legacy is one of courage, faith, and resilience. She proved that staying true to one's values can lead to lasting impact, both in music and in the fight for justice. Number 2. Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole, born in 1919 in Montgomery, Alabama, rose to fame as one of the most beloved singers and pianists of his time. With his velvety voice and charm, Cole became a music icon, producing timeless hits like Unforgettable and Mona Lisa. In 1956, he made history as the first black artist to host a national television show, The Nat King Cole Show. It was a groundbreaking achievement in an era when racial segregation was deeply ingrained in American society. However, Cole's success came at a heavy price. As the host of a primetime show, he faced severe backlash from racists who couldn't accept a black man in such a prominent position. He received numerous death threats, and advertisers refused to sponsor the program, fearing a loss of support from white audiences. Despite his efforts to keep the show on air, it was eventually cancelled after 1 year due to a lack of financial backing. Cole also faced racism in his personal life. When he moved into an all-white neighborhood in Los Angeles, his family was harassed by hostile neighbors who tried to force them out. Yet through it all, Cole carried himself with grace and dignity, never letting hate dim his talent or spirit. Nat King Cole's perseverance and trailblazing efforts paved the way for future black entertainers. His legacy is a testament to his courage, talent, and ability to rise above relentless racism, leaving an indelible mark on music and television history. Number 1. Gregory Hines. Gregory Hines, born in 1946 in New York City, was a legendary performer who revived tap dancing and brought it to Hollywood's forefront. From a young age, Hines was immersed in dance, performing with his brother Maurice in a duo called Hines, Hines and Dad. His charisma and unmatched skill made him one of the most influential tap dancers of his time. Hines brought tap dancing into mainstream entertainment, blending it with modern styles and showcasing its emotional and storytelling power. Despite his extraordinary talent, Hines faced subtle racism in Hollywood. While he was celebrated for his dancing, he was often typecast in supporting roles, rarely given the opportunity to lead major films. His race played a role in these limitations, as the industry was hesitant to cast black actors in starring roles unless the films were targeted specifically at black audiences. Even with these barriers, Hines carved out a niche for himself, starring in movies like Tap, White Nights, and The Cotton Club, where he delivered memorable performances that highlighted his artistry. Hines's impact on the entertainment world is unmatched. He not only revived the art of tap dancing, but also inspired a new generation of dancers to take up the craft. Beyond his talent, he was a trailblazer who broke barriers in dance and film, proving that tap could be both a respected art form and a powerful medium for expression. Gregory Hines's legacy continues to inspire performers around the world. What do you think about the challenges these black stars faced in their fight for equality? Do you think Hollywood has truly changed, or are there still battles to be fought? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the lives of Hollywood's legends. And for more shocking celebrity stories, check out our video on 20 black celebrities who ruined their careers with plastic surgery. It's one you won't want to miss.